Hello class, this is our first lesson on the content, and today we're talking about fertility. This is the Begin Again unit where we're talking about fertility, Senka, and the Russian Revolution. So our content is fertility. This is related to the very first thing we studied when we learned about conception along with Japan. Fertility is kind of part of conception. So the age of fertility, it varies by the individual and it depends upon gender. For females, it's the onset of menstruation until menopause, and for males, it's the onset of puberty until death. You're the most fertile in your teens and 20s, and then you gradually start becoming less fertile until you stop being fertile. So some of the things that fertility depends upon. Physically, it depends upon your body temperature. Especially with females, your body temperature changes whenever you are ovulating and fertile. It depends upon the time of day. People are most fertile in the morning, in the early sunlight hours, because that sunlight releases hormones in your brain that increases your fertility chances. And then, of course, hormones play a part in it, and pheromones. Pheromones are scents, and they are not smells that you consciously smell, but they are the way that your natural unsmelled body smell changes when you are in a fertile stage, and it's a way that mates are attracted. It is also the science that's used in creating scent and creating things like perfumes and colognes, aftershave, deodorant, even all those things. They put pheromones in them in order to make you more attractive. Psychologically, fertility depends upon attraction. You have to be attracted to a mate. Temperament. It is found that if you are angry or stressed or under a lot of pressure, or if you're in some sort of difficult situation that changes your body chemistry, you tend to be less fertile. And that's kind of a instinctive evolutionary thing, because you do not want to be creating more babies during a time when you are under some sort of stress. And then also instinctive behavior. So you get to a part in your life where you may not say that you want children, but then sometimes as you get older, your hormones start kicking in, and literally, and your thinking starts changing, and you have this instinct to reproduce before it's too late. Of course, reproduction is a choice. And then fertility also depends upon social instances like courtship and mating behaviors and your culture and your society and what they think about having children and the value that they place on those things. And over here on the right, you see an old-fashioned ad for a honeymoon and courtship, where you have a very elegant couple and you have some pearls that she's been given and a doozy of a car, big fancy car, big fancy, kind of beverages and flowers and things, except for if you look close, it is an ad for a soft drink. So the honeymoon. Honeymoons happen after a wedding, and traditionally it's a time that was set aside after a couple got married so that they could catch pregnant. In other words, so they could start a family. And what would happen during these traditional honeymoons in the past would be, if the couple was in a rural type area, lived in the country, for a month after after the wedding, the community would chip in and take care of the chores. And they would work in the fields or take care of the animals. They would bring them food and things of that nature. If it was more of an upper class person, they might go on a trip that would last a month, but this always lasted a month. And the whole point was that the couple didn't have to do any work. They could just focus on each other and starting a family. That is also why a long time ago, June was the most popular month for weddings, the first part of June. And the reason why June is the part of the year that in most places there isn't quite as much work to be done as there is at other times of the year, because your plants are all, your crops are already planted and they're growing, but it's not time for harvesting yet. So it's just maintenance, watering, weeding. The animals have already all had their young, and so they're okay. That season is over. There's lots of food, is in abundance, so you don't have to work hard to do that. And it was just a good time to take a break. Honeymoons also have fertility customs that ensure the wife to be pregnant and the man to be fertile. And a lot of those things are seen during and after weddings, where you do things like throw rice or birdseed or flowers at the bride and the groom as they leave. And that is to bless them with fertility in the coming months. So talking about eggs themselves as symbols of fertility, specifically red eggs are used as fertility charms all around the world. In every culture, even when cultures were not in contact with each other, they were on separate continents, red eggs you find in all the cultures were somehow associated with fertility. And they would find a way in wherever they lived of dyeing the eggs red. In some places, the red egg would be rolled across the bed, side to side, on the honeymoon, so that the wife would get pregnant. Some cultures, the red egg would be given to your intended partner, whether you were married or not. If somebody gave you a red egg, that was the sign that they wanted to start a family with you. They could be used to predict mates, and that's where the egg hunt came from, is that people would hide eggs, and whoever found your red egg, the one that you made, that would be your partner. And then finally, the red egg in particular was recognized by the church in 1313 as a symbol of Easter, the egg standing for both the renewal and the resurrection, a way to teach that, and the red color for the blood and sacrifice. And then later that became adopted to all colors of eggs, and then all types of eggs for Easter. Designed eggs, eggs filled with jelly beans, eggs filled with money, boiled eggs, deviled eggs, whatever. They were all about Easter. So the nature of the egg itself, it has to do with springtime. The birds nest in springtime and they resume laying eggs. Most birds do not lay eggs throughout the year constantly. They only lay them once or twice. And the reason why they lay eggs in springtime is because there is an increase in sunlight. And just like I talked about with humans and fertility, that increase in sunlight helps to release the hormones to increase egg production. It also helps the eggs to stay at the right temperature so that they hatch without getting too hot or too cold. So to understand the egg itself, the egg has different parts to it. You have the germinal disc, which sits in the yolk. This is the part that gets fertilized. Most of the eggs that you are familiar with, unless you have farm eggs, are not fertilized. Sometimes they would be, and it's not that when eggs are fertilized, they start having like little vein looking things in them. It's not how sometimes you open up an egg and there's a blood spot. The blood spot is actually a type of tumor. You have the yolk, which is the food for the chick as it's developing and growing. You have the white part, which provides water, and it also acts like a cushion. And the same thing with the air cell. They kind of protect that inside of the egg from shocks so that the yolk doesn't break and it's not disturbed. The chalazae are membranes that kind of affix the yolk, so it's not just rolling around there aimlessly. It kind of stays in one place. And then you have membranes between all of these things that allow air into the developing chick. And you have the hard shell on the outside. So inside the chicken, this is where eggs come from. You have a bunch of unformed eggs, just like all humans have and other animals have, and those eggs are released and grow and come out. If there is a rooster involved, then the eggs become fertilized and you end up with a chick. If there is not a rooster involved, then the egg still has to come out of the chicken. So your assignment today is, you just need your Chromebook for this, and you are just going to research and answer the following questions. Number 1, do chickens in particular lay more eggs in the spring? Why or why not? Number 2, why do chickens lay more eggs than other birds? Because they do. Number 3, how long does it take a fertilized egg to hatch? And I'm referring to a chicken egg. Number 4, how long do raw eggs keep outside of a refrigerator? And then number 5, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And yes, there is an answer.